Well, there's some POTA-style 20th Century Fox music. Honestly gives the X-Men flourish a run for its money. Who would have thought 2 movies could be summed up in a sentence each? Well, the information that's pertinent to the story, at least. I also kind of feel like it's directed at the people who think the titles for Rise and Dawn should have been switched. Also, yes, just do this. Enough with the clunky and awkward exposition throughout films trying to make sure everyone is caught up. Just tell us what we need to know. Hey, alright, human continuity right out of the gate. Monkey tail, ape no tail. I was gonna make a little cute joke, but I was just reading the wiki for the movie, and get this. Reagan didn't want to be in the sequel, Bonzo Goes to College, because he thought it was too unbelievable. Some visual exposition that this unit is called Alpha Omega with it on all their helmets. And the same beginning and end brand on Donkey really nails that point home. Incredible sound design here, so tense, and then the sound cuts out right when they drop. And a great fake-out reveal that the apes are working for humans. Also, sad? It's pretty sad, honestly. Preacher rocking a crossbow makes total sense as a silent sniper weapon. Also, it's awesome. And I mean, come on, another killer long take with this God's Eye view? We take it for granted now, and sometimes it's even goofy, but can you imagine? Goodness, battle-hungry apes on horseback would terrify me. Also, as much as I hate it, it's a solid opening to a movie titled War. I mentioned that the arrows in Blue Eye Samurai had the thickest shafts, but I think these homemade ones take the cake. War has changed. Right? Is it just me, grizzled Caesar, waxing philosophical about the complexities of the military-industrial complex? Jokes aside, this scene with Caesar, the battle-hardened general, still welling up with tears at the sight of all his injured people? Caesar would be pretty justified in killing all the humans who were left.
I did not start this war. The ape who did is dead. His name was Koba. I killed him.
Last time I mentioned how important to everything it was that Caesar killed Koba, but started the war is actually a pretty concise reason.
You must fear.
Fun fact, Red Donkey here is voiced by Ty Olsson, who was also this guy.
I shoot fish in a barrel!
So he's always sucked. It's on the nose, but dang it, Winter is a great name for George.
They are the message, Maurice. He will see we are not savages.
Giving Marty way too much credit, Caesar. Matt Reeves refuses to make one of these that isn't gorgeous.
Koba still haunts us.
Saying that to the other guy with a literal gunshot-inflicted scar on his face from Koba. Hugging. Okay, now I'm getting jealous. Your village is behind the waterfall? Aw, so much happiness, and I have to assume it could never be snatched away from me. Zero worries. There's a lore for the original movie, and it's great, but this time, they ended up in the desert because they knew humans would just leave them be. It's so poignant to know everything they did to try to avoid this war.
Apes. Together. Strong.
Diamond hands to the moon, baby. That's straight terrifying, which is a flip from the other movies where humans were rarely the scary ones. In the enemy base and they're going lights up, they deserve what's coming to them, constantly underestimating their enemy. Hey, I guess the Batman stole this move from The Rocket. Reeves likes what he likes, and I also like it.
King Kong is dead. Let's go.
I mean, he's definitely important, but it's so human to assume that the apes would just fall apart if Caesar was dead. Now that's an entrance, and this sequence is so well done. No words, amplified score, muted location sound, the momentary confusion of the Colonel as he looks to Caesar's family, realizing he did not kill the leader, and then Caesar's grief and rage, followed by the Colonel's panicked but silent fire. Obviously, I really hate the Colonel, but hot damn, is that a point of ingress to choose? Gotta give him props. Killing off Cornelia and Blue Eyes is super brutal, and I was pretty blown away the first time. But I think I might have bailed if they had taken out Cornelius too.
The soldiers will all come after me. That may give you the best chance to get out of the woods.
I know this is an emotional moment, and I'm feeling it. But I'm also feeling it for the poor horse. Adult male gorillas can weigh up to 350 pounds. How many horses has Luca gone through? But seriously, the score is brutal. It all happens so fast, and Caesar is still mostly doing the right thing for his people by drawing the humans off, but there are so many emotions packed into this short sequence, and I'm still barely over the rage.
I may not make it back.
Never change, Maurice. I love the little things about how this movie got made because at some point, somebody had to think about how 2 chimps, an orangutan, and a western lowland gorilla would dismount from horses and 3 of them are strapped. Movies are awesome. But I mean, it's still completely ridiculous. Apes on horses will never not look hilarious. But it's in a good way because it's still so realistic that I'd be laughing at them riding by as they removed my head from my shoulders. And Caesar has entered his Fafo era. The look on his buddies' faces says it was still a surprise even though he saved their lives. But it's perfect contrast to his mercy with the soldiers after the first battle to show us where he is now. If I didn't think it would be completely unintelligible, I would have loved to make this the thumbnail for the video. It's got a real what you do in this situation vibe to it. Ah, see, this is how you know there's a kid in there. Takes a trusted ally to show you when you're close to going on a rampage. Maurice is that friend. Chekhov's doll.
We cannot take her, Maurice.
Genuinely not sure the world deserves Maurice. The sweetest of sweeties. I hate how we got here, but I like the turn of having Caesar now be somewhat hateful of humans, even if we know deep down he's still a softie like Big M. Wait, what's that sign say?
The only good bug is a dead bug.
This is a nice little setup. It makes you think the humans have it way more together than they really do. Sad to see Winter already using the language of his oppressors. Brutal. And I feel for Winter. He's seemingly the only albino in the group, and he made a decision out of fear that cost his friends their lives, and now he will die as a traitor. But I also don't know what to tell you, Winter. Snitches get stitches, or actually, in this case, ditches. But we can also clearly tell that Caesar isn't always thinking through his choices right now.
Ape, not kill. Ape.
Shut your face, fool. You threw an innocent ape kid off a balcony. Stupid guilt-tripping brains. The detail of the apes flinching at every gunshot. I love that the virus doesn't do something silly like making humans look more like chimps. It just takes away some of the faculties that clearly the humans in this world deem as something that makes them human, despite the fact that there are plenty of humans who cannot communicate verbally. One of the best things this movie does is really blur the lines between human and ape. First with Red Donkey sneaking up on a soldier, and now with Bad Ape coming off very human as he tries to steal stuff. And a quick little fun chase through the snow on horseback. What doesn't this movie have? And now Luca and Rocket are on the same horse? The white one was probably stoked when tiny little Bad Ape stole her. Same. My bad, didn't realize how scary you guys are.
Cold.
Look, Maurice is the #1 sweetie pie, but Bad Ape is a very close second.
No, put down.
Oh man, Bad Ape is special. It's a dark movie, but adding Steve Zahn really elevates the levity.
No touch. I'm okay.
See what I mean? Bad Ape absolutely eating it will never not be funny. The unsaid, like us? I don't think he's exactly like us.
New friends. Special day.
Yep, Steve Zahn is always a win. Aw, and that's how it all started.
I had child.
Oof, it's not every mocap performance that can make me cry.
Think you'll find him at Human Zoo.
I don't know. Maybe.
Then maybe I take you.
There are 2 routes for getting a character like Bad Ape to change his mind on something he's dead set against. The first is, no, and then someone points a gun at him and he immediately does a 180. Okay, I take you. The other one is this, and it's the one that makes us fall in love with him even more somehow. Luca? Never saw it coming. They're all just big cuddly softies and I love it. No notes. I hate this. Why are no gorillas allowed to make it? It's the second time a gorilla has legit thrown Caesar out of the way of danger while taking it on themselves. And the look that comes across Caesar's face like he forgot humans had this capacity. Love the focus pull to Nova, giving her the spotlight. I know I keep saying it, but getting us to feel this much over fully digital creations makes my brain hurt. The score is also really helping this time. I see you, Michael Giacchino, with the title Don't Luca Now. Michael Giacchino is still always a win.
They must pay.
Oof, Maurice coming in with the truth sandwich. Hell yeah, badass good guy on a slightly bad guy quest for revenge, but with a reasonable motivation. Yeah, that checks out. Takes a few hundred years of sentience to really hone in on your vile levels of cruelty.
Grant and Lee, Custer, and Sitting Bull. You're probably not much of a reader, but this is a big moment.
What an absolutely ambitious way to frame oneself. Colonel thinks he's Grant and Sitting Bull? Nah, he's the Granny Lee. Defeated loser fighting for an evil cause.
I hope you don't come to regret sparing his life. He's quite a good shot.
Basically works out. Shade's the first time he was put in a cage as an outsider. You absolutely do not have to hand it to him because apparently people love to fall in line behind insane strong men when times get tough, and it just takes the right level of shirtless head shaving, I suppose. Humans are stupid. This is real and sad. Oh, cool. He brought religion into his war. That always goes well. It's perfect and gives you exactly what you need to know about this militia flying a desecrated flag nonetheless.
Leave him!
Good guy, Caesar. In the last video, I talked about how all it takes is one ape or one human to spoil it for everyone, and that works both ways. And it's ultimately a moment of defeat, but it's enough to show Caesar the power he still holds. Unfortunately, he wasn't the only one watching. The sadness in the Colonel's eyes is such a good choice. Initially, all he wanted was to kill Caesar, but now he views him as his ultimate nemesis in his own little hero's journey and probably understands how dangerous it would be to create a martyr. So he kinda respects Caesar, kinda. At the same time, I fully believe the Colonel would have done it, and Caesar knows that, but stares him down anyway. The Colonel is almost surprised that Caesar not only doesn't flinch, but leans into the barrel. That's a badass good guy. Saving your father-in-law's life. Way to go, Lake.
Oh no! Why so small?
Maurice's sigh is a much-needed moment of comedic timing. Also, I gotta be real with you, Bad Ape is adorable in his little vest and hat combo. Terrible but beautiful shot, and I gotta be honest again, when I saw the X's, I had some Ramsay Bolton flashbacks and was pretty happy with the outcome in contrast.
I saw men outside on the wall preparing for battle.
They told me you were smart, but that's impressive.
Deductive reasoning, baby. Should have known you were cooked right then and there.
You'd eventually replace us. That's the law of nature.
A lot to unpack here, but he's basically referring to Homo sapiens replacing Neanderthals, and it's been a long-held theory, I guess, that we, Homo sapiens, killed them all, but the recent research surmises that it was more like we bred them out. Interbreeding with apes seems less likely, but the Colonel's point stands based on what he believes. It in no way redeems him, I just like a baddie who isn't just there simply to get the W and to cause as much pain as possible in the process.
Then the man who cared for him stopped speaking too. Their medic had a theory before he stopped speaking.
And the mutating virus really nails his motivations home. It's not purely we don't like apes. It nudges the Colonel's behavior just a degree in the direction of wrong but understandable.
I pointed it at my only child. I pulled the trigger. It purified me.
A very, very, very small degree. Unnoticeable to the human eye. He's an absolute monster who is brightly afraid of a virus. And it pretty much explains everything else about him. There's no coming back from that.
I realized that I would have to sacrifice my only son so that humanity could be saved.
LOL, bro. Sorry, we already got our Christological figure.
This is a holy war.
Oh, cool. He brought religion into his war. That always goes well.
All of human history has led to this moment.
I'd just like to point out that this is never not true. All of human history has also led to this moment because it's currently the last moment in human history. You hearing this now, all of human history has led to this moment for you. Don't waste it. Or do, I'm not your supervisor.
It will be the last of our kind. It will be a planet of apes.
Ah, it will be. And what's funny is that he's right. But not at all because the apes would inevitably win, but because the humans refuse to accept peace with the apes. A perfect self-fulfilling prophecy.
So emotional!
Haha, right? Turn those emotions off like us humans do, you big weird having feelings about stuff guy.
In.
Bad Ape deciphering the sign language is perfection, improving his intelligence and skill set, all just to save his own butt.
No, go in. No, go.
Bad Ape is quickly becoming my favorite character in all of media.
Thank you, friend.
I mean, Apocalypse is legit right there, but you know what? For people who've lived through some really terrible stuff, that's pretty clever.
Apes all die here.
And even though I've said a number of times that I think Caesar had to kill Koba, this is 100% accurate to life. It doesn't matter how justified you were, the decision can still haunt you. She pets his head, returning the favor, all about this. Plus, everybody loves a stuffy when they're having a rough day. Oof, you know your boy loves an "Oh Captain, my Captain" moment. In this case, an Apes Together Strong moment. Attaboy, Rocket. Lean into your go-to talent, hooting wildly. He doesn't die, but he still gets self-sacrifice points. I really appreciate that they don't kill Rocket. It keeps things from dipping too much into tragedy porn, which I admit is a weird thing to say when 2/3 of Caesar's non-Caesar family is dead. Ooh, that'll give you chills. I love Rocket's story in this one since he was Caesar's first real antagonist. Caesar's alive! Ha, accidental bioweapon. Is that a win? Feels a little... Look, Caesar didn't plan it and McCullough had it coming. Also, it's not even a death sentence. From what I understand, much of the signing the apes use in these movies, while not always perfect, is at least based on ASL. This makes sense because Caesar learned it in Rise and that's how he connected with Maurice. But it also makes you realize how cooked they would have been if anyone from Alpha Omega knew ASL, and on the other hand, it's insane that special ops units aren't required to learn ASL for silent communication, or even better, a proprietary sign language that couldn't be intercepted. Wait, they do that, don't they?
Come see. Come see. Come see.
Return. Man, he keeps getting chuckles out of me.
No. Okay.
And I totally forgot they used the other version of changing Bad Ape's mind, and it still somehow makes me love him even more. Just perfect delivery from Zahn. Also glad to see when it comes down to it, Maurice will throw down. All the character design is great, but Bad Ape is just the perfect combo of chimp plus gremlin plus, like, Mac from Mac and Me. And this ape looks like a Morlock for some reason. What is that hair? Honestly, I can't believe it took them 3 movies to get here. Maybe they didn't want to play into stereotypes, but it is one of the more realistic parts of the movie. They do poop, and they will throw it. The watery consistency is just the Rocket touch. Rocket just tossing the poop in his hand is an absolute legend move. But here's to hoping he took a hand-washing break before touching the children. Hugging, the most emotional hugging. You gotta love how easy it is for them.
Maurice was right. I am like Cobra. He could not escape his hate, and I still cannot escape mine.
Look, maybe there's truth in that. And also maybe escaping only gets you back to where you were before all this. Best case, the humans wipe each other out, but if they don't, the Colonel isn't letting you disappear. I mean, in theory. A random thing I love is movie scenes that carry through from nighttime darkness through the sunrise and into morning. Makes us feel like we're right there with them. Saving kids? We're still going with Bad Ape? More like Great Ape, am I right? This is such a Matt Reeves shot, and I love it. That chopper going down is so over-the-top bananas, and I love that they cut to the new setup showing the explosion while still following Caesar. And this framing of Caesar showing his full rage, the high contrast lighting and Dutch tilt, he's a villain in this moment, and then he snapped back to reality. That's a pretty dang poetic ending for the big bad monologue giver. No big showdown, you slipped up and became what you had intended to wipe off the earth. Can I get a mother truckin' comeuppance? There's a lot going on here, but the most important thing is that Caesar rejects the idea that he is just like Koba, and whether through pity, sympathy, or even empathy with McCullough's grief, Caesar embraces who he once was, the ape that saw the good in humans. He realized killing the Colonel wouldn't cure his own grief, and he allows the Colonel to make what choice he wants to, but refuses to do it himself. The Colonel could have decided to see what life would bring him with the virus, but didn't. And it seems like the Colonel is also accepting that the POTA is happening. Tight, freaking action hero Caesar. Yeah, man, you suck. Welcome to waking life. And of all the movies where a John McClane kills a helicopter with a paperclip or whatever, the legend of Caesar needs to be this. Dude inspired an entire species to free itself, and it's this moment that we see Red Donkey realize who Caesar really is, undeterred by missile strikes covering him in smoke and debris, seeing him struggle to save his people with an arrow sticking out of him. I think Preacher might be the most interesting human in this film. The casting choice is perfect because he always has this kind of innocent, doe-eyed look, but he sucks. Like the worst. He's lockstep with the Colonel, but because he always kind of looks conflicted, we always think he might do the right thing, and he literally never does. And then he gets blown up by a grenade launcher. It rules. And the way we come out of slow motion, speeding up with the tension. Honestly, Caesar might be in my top 5 cinema heroes from the last 25 years. He rules. I mean, come on. The slow turn of all the genome soldiers. Even in dire situations, he gets me. Goodness, what a finale with this side-scrolling camera angle. And you have to love that the apes do something instinctively ape to save themselves. Yeah, this dude has been through it. Giacchino even nails the triumphant traveling music. I know Nova is just bending down and reaching for Cornelius, but one can't help but notice the similarities to the first time we saw this supplicating gesture, and it really sets the tone for everything that will happen after.
Apes are strong, with or without me.
Hate it, but understand it. It's true because of the examples he set, while at the same time, Caesar ended up being an unwitting general, and the apes don't need a military leader anymore if they want peace.
Son will know who was father.
And I mentioned in Dawn that speaking seems to be painful for them, so it's reserved for these truly important moments and makes the words hit even harder.
And what Caesar did for us.
Dang it, Maurice, hit me in the feels. Rest in peace, Big C. And I appreciate that we end tilting up away from his people, happy and free, not mourning their leader. Just a quick look at Rocket noticing since he's one of our OGs. Perfect ending. Listen, I can be mad that Caesar dies and also fully love the ending of this movie. I'm a complex boy with lots of feels, but it's a fitting end to the Caesar trilogy. I don't know if they call it that, but they should, and then they should pay me for it. But there aren't a ton of franchises where you can say you followed the main character from birth to death, and Caesar never feels like a new character while still having multiple arcs. In Rise, from realizing he's effectively the only one of his kind and questioning if he's just another collar-wearing pet to maturing into a leader who saw a greater purpose for apes. He spends most of Dawn trying to avoid conflict, going so far as to break one of his main commandments in killing Koba in a last-chance Hail Mary decision to try for peace over war. Unfortunately for him, humans be humaning, and they sure do love war. Very thankful to not be one.
And I was human.
We even start this movie again with Caesar trying his darndest to avoid war, only for his new enemy to murder his family as thanks. If there's a better reason to rampage, I have not come across it yet. As far as I can tell, apes don't seem to keep little puppy pets, but by the end of his life, things are so different it would be easy to forget that his first real foe was an angry neighbor who tried to murder John Lithgow. I don't know, that's how I remember it. It's been literal weeks. But the Caesar in Rise and the Caesar in War are vastly different, yet clearly still the same character, and it's believable because the writing and Andy's portrayal of the character are so well done. Caesar makes these films work, as in they do not work without him, which isn't really fair. Die Hard is nothing without Bruce, but Alan Rickman is all I need to say. But you get my point? Caesar the chimp isn't real. He doesn't exist, and I'm comparing him to Bruce Willis. Andy Serkis brings genuine depth and emotion to the character. Caesar has become one of my favorite returning characters in recent memory. He's perfectly aged up each time, slightly more grizzled, his speech improved and more fluid. No part of Caesar isn't a slam dunk. One of the best parts about him is that he's not perfect. This movie explores his darker side, the side that wants revenge, the fed up side. And if that's not relatable to you, good for you, I'm jelly. But I think many of us connect with Caesar and consistently believe his decisions and motivations in a way that's rare for one movie, let alone across 3 movies, 6 years, 2 directors, and 5 writers. That's something, it truly is. But like I said, Alan Rickman, in this case, Woody Harrelson, Karen Conoval, Terry Notary, Steve Zahn, and Amaya Miller. But per usual, the humans aren't the focus. As great as Woody is, he's pretty much absent for the first hour. And even though he kills Caesar's family, Caesar never views the Colonel the way the Colonel views Caesar. The Colonel sees himself as the hero of an epic, with this intelligent ape as the lead to his Grant. But to Caesar, the Colonel is just the jack of clubs who murdered his family. No epic that spans time and space. You're a murderer, you gotta die. And so while part of me will always wish for more Woody, I'm glad he's only in half and then dies a very unceremonious death. Another reason it's totes cool is that the second half of this movie is rough. Like, hard to talk about rough because we go from a road revenge movie to a prison slavery torture movie. I think Reeves and Co. took some big swings at stuff like mass incarceration and that little clause in the 13th Amendment that's not so cool, and maybe we should definitely change, amend even. It's a lot, is all I'm saying. But there's a reason I don't do many super duper grim and crushing films, and oh boy, does this one get grim. The sense of dread that sort of drifts in and out of the first 2 is turned up to 11 the entire time in War. Which is also interesting because it might be the best. Rise has a special place in my nostalgic heart, but I think War is the most well-rounded, and while this and Dawn both start off pretty fast, War just doesn't let up, and then Caesar dies and it's over. Again, another reason I'm stoked that the other two characters we've known from the beginning get to bask in the sun. Even if Maurice and Rocket still don't get the most screen time, their presence is felt throughout, and I deeply appreciate the moments they each get in this movie. I never thought I'd love Rocket as much as I do, but I can't stop the stupid smile spreading across my face when he gives Caesar the "did you like my ruse" face? The ruse being getting mollywopped by a gorilla, but even I thought, oh, you scamp, you had me going there. And because these two buddies made it out alive, I feel like we can rest easy that the apes will be okay. And with Maurice, even the honorary ape Nova will be safe. The other totally unexpected addition that stole so many scenes is Bad Ape. You can look at him as simply comic relief, but only if you're being a jerk. Because what Bad Ape actually does is open the film to the reality that while the series might be called Planet of the Apes, these movies are basically just Bay Area of the Apes. Bad Ape is from a whole other world, Nevada, LOL, and speaks almost as well as Caesar. That poses a lot of questions that would be interesting to see if the films answer in the future. We're still only at west coast of the apes, but who knows what 300 years might bring. Also, Steve Zahn is the best. And I have thoughts about where they seem to be taking this series, but we'll save that for another time. Because as a set, the Caesar trilogy TMCR works on their own. So this is the end of this trilogy, and next week, more desert? Thanks for coming along on this journey. Per usual, I love these movies even more than I did before. So thanks and have a great one.